Welcome to the Knox Soccer Podcast. This one comes to us from Sam and team over at the One Knox Collective. The video version of this interview with Mateya Dessieux originally was on the Collective's Instagram page, and the Knox Soccer Podcast is able to bring you this uncut audio version, so sit back and enjoy. Take it away, Brian.
Brian Canever, co-host of the Knox Soccer Podcast, and this beautiful morning I am here with Mateya Dessieux, a local soccer player from right here in Farragut, Tennessee. She has committed to playing for Division I University of Texas, the other Orange team. She'll be doing that in a couple of years when she graduates high school. Right now she plays her club soccer at Tophat Soccer Club, and she is also a coach with the Monsters organization here at One Knox. So we're going to talk about her career as a new coach, as a player, and some of the advice that she has for other youth players who are developing their game. Mateya, how are you doing this morning? I'm very good. I just got a haircut. I'm feeling fresh. I'm ready to talk. Both of my kids, the 4-year-old and the 2-year-old, are playing for the Monsters. It's been an interesting experience. They play over at Bearden Adaptive. It's been fun. My daughter, the 4-year-old, she's a little shyer. So when I found out you were coaching for Monsters, I was really curious. How has your experience been as a coach working with a bunch of little kids?
Yeah, it's been great. I like having the opportunity to impact their life, and I just hope that I am a factor in them learning to love the game, and I just hope they have fun. That's all that matters at this stage.
Okay, great. So you mentioned fun, so that's where we're going to start. I was going to call you, a Haitian American Bosnian or Haitian Bosnian American player, because I know that you come from an immigrant family. Yeah. Your father's from Haiti, your mom's from Bosnia. You grew up right here in Knoxville. I can assume that you probably had soccer in your life from the very beginning, but why don't you tell me, where did your relationship with the beautiful game start?
I don't know. I think I've just always been around the sport because obviously my dad played and my mom was involved in Europeans love soccer. So I've just always been around soccer and I just grew up with it. So I don't really have a distinct first memory being around soccer. It's just always been a part of my life. So
growing up, was there like a battle between like when the national teams were playing, like, okay, so I'm like going to cheer for Haiti or Bosnia or the U.S.? Did you have like the national team jerseys or not really?
I've always been a fan of the U.S., but in 2018 when France played Croatia in the World Cup final, that was a pretty big deal in our family because my dad and I were rooting for France and my mom and my brother were rooting for Croatia. So there was some tension there.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Argentinian, obviously. So fortunately, we beat France in the last World Cup final. They did eliminate us in 2018, in the second round of that World Cup. Do you remember your first time as a player when you were like, I love this. Like, I think I love this game.
Oh my gosh. I don't know that I remember a specific moment, but I think probably when I was like 9 or 10, I just always wanted to be on the field, always wanted to be training with my teammates, playing, doing anything, watching soccer. I don't know. I'm really passionate about it, and I've always loved being around the sport.
So I know that you're a goalkeeper. That's a position that you've played competitively for years. And I've heard the position of goalkeeper called like the loneliest position in soccer, or like the position that requires the strongest mentality to play, because you're just by yourself below those 3 sticks. You get blamed when anything goes wrong. You rarely get credit when anything goes right. What drew you into that position?
My dad actually just put me in goal when he was coaching my team. And then I grew to love it. I was pretty naturally good at it, I would say. So I grew to love all the parts of it. And I think it's fun that I get to be a consistent player for my team that they can depend on, that all they know is they have to score a lot of goals and I'll do my part in the back.
Yeah, it's easy. Just score a lot of goals. I'll keep everything out. Are there players that you've modeled yourself after, that you've looked up to and be like, oh, I want to have, the agility or the speed or the strength of this player?
Yeah, I really like Hope Solo's game, and then I really love Gigi Buffon and Hugo Lloris. So those are goalkeepers that I really like to watch and kind of model my game after.
Yeah, and you probably can't see it right now because we're sitting. But I looked at Mateya's recruiting profile before our interview, and they've got pictures of her at the age of 14 or something like that. She looks very baby faced. And then I looked at the numbers and I was like, oh wait, she's 5'10". So we walked in and I had to look up at her when we were getting ready for our interview. And so you play this goalkeeper position. You have these role models that you look up to. At some point in your career, you got the opportunity to go to Georgia and play for a top soccer club in Atlanta, a Tophat Soccer Club in Atlanta, which was a huge commitment because it's a 3-hour plus drive that you and your family are making. So can you talk to me about that decision that you made at the age of 14 to go and play in a different state and commit to, 12 hours on the road every week, essentially?
Yeah, for sure. So I was just really excited to have the opportunity to play with a club that really that fit my demands for what I wanted to do, to be developed as a person and a player. And I remember my first time that I went to train with Tophat, I was just amazed by how good the girls were, how their chemistry was. Like, I just have a really good team, and we push each other to be better and have a lot of fun. And that just really fit me as a person.
Yeah, and this is a club that I wasn't familiar with beforehand. I've heard of players in the area playing in South Carolina, for example. We had Brinley Murphy, another top player from the area, who's playing for University of South Carolina, and she played her club soccer in South Carolina, and I was like, wow, that's a trip. I think Atlanta might be as long or longer to get to. You were called up for the U.S. Women's Youth National Team last year, U17 team. And I saw you had a handful of other players from your club that also got called up. So what was that experience like, getting the call and being told, hey, you're ready to play for your national team to some level, and then also getting to share that with some of your teammates?
Yeah, so getting the email was amazing. I immediately started crying. It was just kind of great to know that all my hard work was being noticed and recognized, and that I had the opportunity to show what I could do. And one of my teammates, who's one of my really good friends, was called up with me. So it was really fun to get to do it with her. And it was such a great experience. I learned a lot as a person, as a player. I made some really good friends. And it's just incredible to be surrounded by like-minded people that are just awesome soccer players and great people and just pushing you to be better every day.
What do you think, for anyone who's watching or listening that might be a 14, 15, 16-year-old player with ambitions of also getting called up, playing top soccer, for you playing in Atlanta, getting called up, we'll talk about some of the other opportunities in a little bit. Do you think there were factors that allowed you to get to that level, either mentally or physically, that showed, hey, I'm ready to make this jump?
Yeah, so I think that it's really important to embrace the hard parts of training and just know that it's going to be a difficult journey, but be excited to conquer that and be willing to put in the work every day, even when it gets challenging. And I also think it's really important to just keep the faith. It's going to get difficult and you're going to get beat down mentally, but you just have to keep working and trust that what's meant to be will be.
Okay, so I want to talk about Tophat Soccer Club a little bit, because they play in the Girls Academy League, which is a national league similar to ECNL for people who are familiar with ECNL, so elite level soccer. And One Knoxville, they, our local club, they recently signed on to compete in this league as well. What was it like playing in that league? For people who aren't familiar with it, can you describe, what's the difference between playing in, state league versus something like Girls Academy League, and how did that help you?
Yeah, for sure. So the GA is just a great league. The competition is it's so competitive. It's so high level. It's a lot of fun. I've got to play against so many talented players. I've gotten to play against other youth national team players. One player who went pro at 16, which is just incredible. And you get to go to these showcases where you're playing against high-level teams, and there's a bunch of coaches watching you. One thing I really like about the GA is everything's in a competition format. So when we go to showcases, we're still competing to win the event. So I think that makes it even more competitive and fun. And I just think I've grown a lot as a player as I was playing there.
That's awesome. So You mentioned showcases and travel and Atlanta, which is 3 hours away from here. As a dad of 3 kids, my daughter's going to be the first one up, and people always ask me, they're like, "Hey, have you started to save, for college savings, college soccer fund, or college fund?" And I'm like, no, I've got a travel soccer fund because it is not cheap to get to all these places. How have you made the travel work? I've heard that you and your dad will road trip it down to Atlanta twice a week, but can you tell me about, going to all of these places, and then also like, what do you do to entertain? Do you guys listen to the radio? So what's that travel like?
Yeah, so I'm really fortunate to have amazing parents that support me in this. So they're willing to travel all over the place with me, which is amazing. But yeah, my dad and I have a good time on our drives to Atlanta. We listen to music. He's put me on some good music. We talk about anything and everything, and then I normally end up sleeping on the way back. So we have a lot of fun. It's just good to get to spend time with him, especially since I'm leaving for college soon. I'm grateful for every minute we get together.
Do you have any like special memories from your road trips? Did the car ever break down, or did you ever have like a really cool sighting or anything like that happened?
One time when we were driving to Nashville, our car did break down on the interstate, so that was rough, but we got over it. We had to buy a new car in Nashville, but yeah, that was interesting for sure.
Did you make it to the game in time?
It was just training, and I was late, but I did make it. So.
That's awesome. Okay, what is it like for you as a goalkeeper between the sticks? When you're playing in one of these high-level games, lots on the line. College coaches are looking for you, looking out and observing you. National team coaches are observing you. Like, for players, it's so important to kind of get ready for the moment, whether that's hyping yourself up, listening to music, repeating some like maxims to yourself. Like, what do you do for when that whistle blows and you're like, okay, I'm on?
So my pregame routine is pretty consistent. I like to have a bagel with peanut butter before the game. And then on the way to the game, I listen to either Zach Bryan or Noah Khan, which is kind of abnormal, but I just like really chill music. I don't like to get super hype and like anxious and jittery. So I just try to calm myself down. Then I get to the fields. I always put my left shoe on before my right, and then it's go time. So just get warmed up, try to just feel good, know that I'm doing what I need to do. And then as the game starts, I slowly just get more calm and feel more comfortable.
Do you have any epic moments from either your Tophat career or any other soccer that you've played, like a game-winning penalty kick save or anything like that you remind yourself of and you're like, okay, I've done this before, like I can do this?
Last year I was with Tophat and we were down at the Champions Cup showcase for Girls Academy, and we were playing against the reigning national champions. And that game, like, I was doing a lot the whole game. I was making a lot of saves, and we went to overtime, and I made one really big save. I had to dive lower left corner, and I parried it away to keep us from, it was golden goal, so if that had gone in, we would have lost. So I made that save, kept us in the game, and it was really fun. The crowd was great, so I just like to think of that.
So I want to ask you about choosing a college to go and play for. That's an ambition that so many of us have had, or for young players that they still have. They're like, I want to play college soccer, and maybe it's NAIA or Division III, maybe it's Division II, maybe it's Division I for a power conference. At what point were you thinking like, I would like to do this in college? And then how did you get to committing to Texas, which, fun fact, some people may know, Angela Kelly, the head coach, former Tennessee Lady Vol head coach. So what was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I always knew that I wanted to play for a D1 school if that was possible. So I put in the work to make that a goal that I could meet. And my recruiting process was great. My time at Tophat helped a lot of coaches to see me, and it felt great to be wanted by that many schools. And I'm so grateful for everyone that reached out to me. I had a lot of great conversations, and I met a lot of really good people. But when I stepped foot on Texas, it just felt like home. Like, I have such a great bond with the coaches, and I just immediately felt like it was a family environment. I just felt safe there. I could see myself there. It wasn't really too difficult of a choice for me. Just got the feeling.
you're a Farragut kid. Like you live here in Knoxville. We got a different shade of orange here. Was it weird, stepping onto like the Longhorns campus and being like, this orange feels a little different? Or were you like, I think I'm ready to make the shift,
Yeah, it was definitely weird at first. Everyone kept calling Texas UT, and I was like, no, UT's back at home in Knoxville, but I'm excited now. I think Texas might be the better UT. So that was a big mental shift, but I'm there now.
Okay, so you just finished up your junior year of high school, so you're going into senior year. You're hoping to graduate early. You didn't play high school soccer. You chose to focus on your club career. You're going to be at Texas in a year and a half. Where does Mateya go from there? Are you imagining yourself like so many like little boys and girls, like I'm going to make the U.S. national team. I'm going to play in a World Cup. I want to play in the NWSL or go play in the WSL in England. Like, what are your ambitions?
Yeah, so I definitely want to go pro after college. I don't know if I want to stay in the country or go overseas yet. I'm kind of open to anything. I just want to play for as long as I can. I would love to play for the U.S. national team. My ultimate goal is to play in a World Cup.
A lot of coaches talk with players about
just keep putting in the work
the power
and
of
hope
like
that happens.
mentally imagining these things. Do you do that exercise? Like, where you like imagine yourself actually being there in a World Cup final or signing the pro contract? Do you do any of that stuff?
Yeah, I think so. Especially when I'm watching games, I can really just see myself there. I can see myself in that situation. So, yeah.
Yeah, when you watch games, you also, like you're watching the goalkeeper work and you're like, oh yeah, oh there. Oh, like,
Yeah.
You could have parried here. You should have punched here.
Yeah, I do, for sure.
Yeah.
I love to watch goalkeepers play and see what they do well and see what maybe they could work on because I can learn a lot doing that.
I got to ask you about your parents because obviously you're 17, so you're not even officially an adult yet. Parents play such an important role in their kids' careers. I was born with the ball at my feet. I think all the earliest pictures that I have with my dad have a soccer ball in there. When you grow up in an Argentinian family, the assumption is you're going to love the game. And for you, I know your dad, who is a longtime coach in the area, is now coaching some really strong teams for one Knoxville's youth club. You mentioned your mom being Bosnian. You guys having a little rivalry during the 2018 World Cup final. What role have mom and dad played in your soccer career?
So my dad was my first coach. He's the one that trained me as a goalkeeper, and I wouldn't be the player I am without him. He's taught me everything I know, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm glad that we get to spend all that time training together. It's a good bonding experience, and it's just so amazing to learn from someone that's as experienced and talented as him, and it's incredible. It's so valuable. And then my mom, she's so good to me. She pours all this love into me. She believes in me more than probably anyone else. And I'm so grateful that my family just has this much faith in me and really believes in me and all my goals and that I'm going to accomplish everything that I want.
So coaching is one thing and the game experience is another thing, right? Sometimes what influences our growth and our success is often what happens like off camera, right? Like behind the scenes, at home. Growing up, were you the kind of player who would juggle the ball around at home? Do you have a goal in your backyard that, your mom, your dad, or your brother will shoot at and you'll get between the sticks? I've seen, right now, Sydney Leroux, former national team player, there's so many videos of her with her little kids, playing in the backyard. What does soccer look like for you when you're not at practice and when you're not in a game environment?
No goal in the backyard, but I'm at practice a lot. We live really close to a couple of fields, so I'm always asking my dad to go train, or I'm at the field just hitting balls, working on distribution. I spend a lot of time at the field. It's fun for me and I enjoy it. And I like to watch soccer. I try to watch a lot of film so I can see what I need to improve on. I talk to coaches, ask questions about things that I can do to get better and stuff like that.
Yeah. When you talk about going and practicing on the field, so like, are you going by yourself or with, one of your parents or something like, hey, let's go to the field and mess around for a little bit?
Yeah, so sometimes it's just me going to hit balls, work on distribution, punting, goal kicks, stuff like that. And then a lot of the time it's me and my dad, and we have a little small group of goalkeepers, and we just go train, get a good session in for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
So I want to revisit that question of advice again. There's hundreds of youth players here in Knoxville, boys and girls, a lot of them within one Knoxville, a lot of them with other clubs, a lot of them playing AYSO, and they're going to YouTube and they're looking up clips and interview clips from professionals and college players that they look up to. One day, there might be a ton of people in town looking up to you. They're like, I want to be like Mateya, she played for Texas. She went out to the national team. You talked about embracing the hard stuff, but is there any other advice that you would give to a player, maybe even like the 14-year-old version of Mateya who is struggling with, hey, am I going to play for high school? Am I going to go to Georgia? What does this look like? What does that look like? Beyond embracing the hard parts, what wisdom or advice do you have?
Yeah, so I had one coach tell me this, and it stuck with me since, is to show up and show out. So when you get the opportunity, you have to be ready to shine, and you have to take the opportunity and just show everyone what you have. And I think that's important because you do all this work. So you need to be, when the time comes, you have to be ready to show everyone what you've got.
Well, those are all the questions I had for you, Mateya. I'm a little sad that we won't get the opportunity to see you play here in Knoxville anytime soon. But if you wander onto a field and see her with a bunch of little kids she's wrangling, she's coaching here. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for the opportunity to have this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a blast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So great.
Very smooth.
How do you feel about it? I'm good. I don't think so.
I feel good. I love that quote. Wait, show up and show out.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck is one that I've heard. And my wife is more like that than me. I'm like I had an experience with a coach too. I told you on the phone, like his name was Rich Kaminsky. Him and his son, we both played right back, and I would always play behind his son. And I was really frustrated, and he just told me, he's like, you're just not good enough to win that position. And I was like, you know what? Screw you, I'm quitting. And I quit, and I regret it now, but I always say, I'm like, when my kids sign their first pro contract, I'm sending a photocopy to Kaminsky, and I'm gonna be like, I told you, you don't believe in me, I believe in myself, I believe in my kids.